So Jumpluff is best used as a support mon competitively, but I'm gonna make it a sweeper instead. It's got pretty abysmal offensive stats, but the Puffball does have some nice little tricks. First of all, when the sun is up, we can take advantage of its chlorophyll ability, doubling its speed, and essentially making it faster than anything out there. We can get up a substitute to hopefully grab some momentum, and then it's time for Swords Dance. After boosting, we can do surprisingly big damage with Stab Acrobatics, which is full power since I'm running this thing itemless. When we're not slicing stuff up, we can pull out Stab Seed Bomb as well, and even with base 55 attack, I'm determined to pull off some sharp Jumpluff sweeps. If you've been around the channel long enough, you'd know that I've historically hated Jumpluff, and that's because Speedy, Substitute, and Elite Seed and Sleep Powder is the damn bane of my existence. But today, we're gonna make probably the least sharp Pokemon out there, extra sharp with some Swords Dancing. If that sounds interesting to you, you should consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm on my way to 400k, I'd love to have you as part of the journey, and with that, let's go ahead and jump into the match. So I wasn't really exactly sure what my opponent was going to lead off with. Turns out it's going to be the floppiest fella. They go with the Mienshao, and as I've got a Swampert, I'm here to set up some Stealth Rock, potentially flip turn. Now generally, I expect a Mienshao is kind of just a U-turn lead, get himself an early matchup, which is kind of fine. Now, as I go for the Stealth Rock, turns out I get a high jump kick straight to the damn nose, and that actually does over half. Now I'm max HP in attack, does a bunch to Swampert, and I'm like, well, okay, 10 out of 10 did not expect to just take that immediately. And as the next one shows it's probably gonna kill, I decide I should get the hell out of here. Swampert does still have some good value. Now I decide to bring in the Thunderous. I figure I can definitely take a high jump kick. I'm also expecting this thing has to be Choice Scarf. Most of the time, Mienshao gonna be Scarf, and as they go for another high jump kick, it does still do about half, and that actually hurts a damn lot. So I figure one way I can try to stop this thing in its tracks is to go for a little Prankster Thunder Wave. Neutralize the situation with a little T-Wave is always nice. I do get the para, and they end up just going, they break through, get another high jump kick, but luckily we leave it with 8. So my ass is getting kicked all over the place, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna hit it with a Volt Switch, and now we can outspeed thanks to the para, and that does a ton of damage as well. So it's a little bit of a glass cannon situation. We get a lot of decent damage there. Now I gotta figure out who wants to switch into a high jump kick, and honestly, as I'm looking at this matchup, I figure I'm gonna get my Sun up and try to get some initiative early with some of my my Sun shenanigans. So I go Ninetales. Now there's always the chance that we get the full para here, and the Thunder Wave comes in clutch because it stops it in its tracks there. So I actually can outspeed here and hit this thing with a Weather Ball. Now I figure they're probably gonna swap themselves out. So I decide I'm going to end up bringing back in the Thunderous. I can get a little Volt Switch on whatever it is they want to bring in, or potentially just T-Wave some more stuff and be annoying. Now, it turns out they're just going to high jump kick once again. They do connect, and I am a dead cloudy fella. So look, there's a few different things that this team can do here, but honestly looking at this, the best way for me to capitalize on the situation would feel like just going straight into the Pluff. I figure, you know what, why not just puff the place up a little bit, bring in the devil himself, and while the sun is shining, you get use of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the Substitute. That's just because if I can make it so that this gets a full para turn, I get a free sub, and then I'm pretty free to start setting up some Swords Dances. Now, to my surprise, they go for a bounce. Buddy's gonna spring up, and this means that it is first not Choice Scarf, but bounce is actually not that bad for me. Essentially, I get a free turn for a Swords Dance regardless. If they do connect on the bounce, that's gonna break my sub, obviously just being a flying move. But then I just have my Swords Dance set up already, and I'm going to substitute until I get it for free. Now, it turns out they get the full para, and now I'm kind of in it. As I consider just finishing off with an Acrobatics or a Seed Bomb, we're going to get a little bit greedy, because there's really not a reason not to. I go for the next Swords Dance, because there's obviously, you know, the para on my side, and also knowing that they want to click Bounce, it's going to have to take 2 turns to go for it anyway. Now, they do go for another Bounce, and he is just springing around out here, so that is fine with me. Of course, I can't even touch the thing now, since it's in the damn air, so I'm like, that's just gonna be another free Swords Dance, and you've literally never seen such a sharp Jumpluff. This thing is now +6 attack in the sun behind a Substitute, and they also get fully parried again, which is horrible luck, but great for me, because now I get to keep my Substitute. I can go for a Seed Bomb, finish off the Mienshao, but also we are probably in the best spot that physical Jumpluff could possibly be in. You know, we have the sun up for multiple turns. We're going to be faster than their entire squad. I have 3 Swords Dances set up, and we're out here ready. So as they bring in King Gambit, This is going to be the one thing they have that should be able to take attacks from me. Now, my best damage is just going to be stab acrobatics. At +6 does do over half, but not quite going to be enough for a kill. And while they didn't go for a sucker punch, they can now hit me with the Iron Head. So this puts us in a little bit of a mind game situation, right? They know that I have the substitute, obviously, and a sucker punch is not as free of a play as you would think. Now, I do lose my son, so while I no longer have the benefit of that, I'm thinking I could substitute expecting a sucker punch, but I feel like they're going to expect that and just go for the attack. So instead, I go straight for the acrobatics. It pays off as they do not sucker punch, and that's going to be a dead King Gambit. So that's a huge threat out of the way, of course. But also looking at it, barring any choice scarfs, Jumpluff is indeed naturally faster than basically everything they have. So the sun, not a super huge deal. They now bring in the Hydreigon, and I do outspeed. It's not going to be choice scarf. Acrobatic slices his ass up. We slice 3 necks at the same time, and Jumpluff is going on a body bag tear like never before. So now it comes Chandelure. I'm thinking if there's a Scarfmon, this thing's a pretty likely one for it to be. And I'm thinking just in case, I can pull out the Terra Fire. Just because surely they're going to click a Flamethrower or Fire Blast, something along those lines. If I go for that Terra Fire, it's going to cover for also potential Terras on their end. Anytime I'm in a situation like this, knowing that they have a Terra in the back pocket, they could easily go for something to maybe be able to live an attack. Turns out they're not gonna. I get off the acrobatics. I am faster. That's a dead Chandelure. And Jumpluff is now... I turn into the Chandelure. I say, are you gonna bring in the Chandelure? I am now a Chandelier. I got the freaking fiery candles on my head. Now with 2 Mons left, they don't really have any options. And in acrobatics just eats the hell out of that Gummy Bear. So down goes Reuniclus as well. And now their final Mon is gonna be Electros. Well, obviously this thing can take an acrobatics. What it cannot do is deal with a Seed Bomb. So we're able to take advantage fully of the lead option, allowing us to set up the Jumpluff beyond repair. That's going to be a dead Electros, and the full body bag. Shofu would be proud. So that one was a little bit ridiculous. Jumpluff has gone off like crazy, but that was just a nice little interesting game to show what this thing is in fact made of. But that's now going to bring us into game number 2, and this one's not going to be quite as easy. Also, if you've stuck around this far into the video, at this point I will ask, hey, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps out the channel and stuff. So without any further cringe YouTuber shenanigans, let's go ahead and get into the game. So this time, it's actually kind of funny. I noticed from Team Preview that they have a Mienshao as well, and that scares me into leading off with the Thundurus instead of the Swampert. I'm figuring, you know, I could stop that. I could nip that in the bud early, but it turns out as they go with the Glimmora, I am not in the greatest matchup here. So I do know that I'm faster, however, so I can go for a Volt Switch, which is great because we hit it on the special side. Don't have to worry about the Toxic Spikes, but also we potentially break a Focus Sash. And now here's the thing. Surely this Glimmora, it's going to click Stealth Rock. So my plan is this. I go into Prostitute. I bring in the Frostlass because I can come in before the rocks are set up, have my Focus Sash intact, but then boom, I come in immediately on a Power Gem, which is like, ouch. 10 out of 10 did not expect. So I do at least live it with that Sash, luckily, but now I have a decision to make. I decided to go for the Destiny Bond, just thinking that maybe this thing picks me off here, and then I grab a free little cheeky kill. It turns out, however, they are going to switch into my mortal enemy. They bring in the Blissey, but he's going full scrambled out here. I go for that Destiny Bond, which isn't necessarily great versus Blissey, but, I mean, this thing can easily sponge any special attack here. They now can no longer kill me, or else they get Destiny Bonded, but I'm going to set up a nice little layer of spikes, and I'm feeling like if I can set up enough hazards, it'll really help out the sweepers in the back. So I get up a nice little layer of spikes. They are now going to go for the Light Screen. You're never really exactly sure what Blissey's going to do. I'm thinking probably Thunder Wave a lot of the time. It turns out it's going to go for screens. Now I'm thinking I don't need to Destiny Bond. They know, that I have that. But as I set up a second layer of spikes, it turns out they pull out the Blizzard. Buddy's working with the freaking Blizzard coverage on the Blissey, and that kills the Frostlass. So I really wish that I would have gone for that Destiny Bond. But they take me out with the Blizzard, which does connect. And that's actually pretty interesting. So here's the thing. This matchup is actually a little bit difficult for me, specifically because they have a Tyranitar in the back. So they can change over my weather if they want to. Now, as I bring in Ninetales, I set up my Sun just to kind of put up that pressure. Now, I decided to go for the Encore, just thinking that I could lock it into Blizzard, which would be kind of nice and allow me to do whatever I want. But they're just immediately going to swap, and they end up bringing in the Tyranitar. They say, yo, yeah, that Sun up? Guess what? Turn that shit right to sand. And in comes the Tyranitar, which is annoying. Does take Spike's Chip, which is great. But now with the Sandstream up, Ion Core, it's not going to work out. One of my main goals is to take care of this Tyranitar early. If I can stop them from changing over the weather, that's really going to help out my squad. Obviously, Jumpluff benefits from the sun. I also have the Arboliva as well, and this team really kind of needs that. So I do conserve the Ninetales here. I want to make sure that I can easily just change that over to Drought upon switching. And I don't have a whole lot that wants to deal with Tyranitar, honestly. Not a lot needs to take unnecessary damage, and as I bring this thing in, they end up missing a Stone Edge, which is very nice for me. And now I decide it's probably in my best bet to go for a Sunny Day. I can get rid of that Sandstorm, and now they're going to have to be able to switch that thing out and bring it back in if they want that to switch back over. And as they click Stone Edge again, it misses again. I mean, that's just kind of the way she goes with freaking Stone Edge a lot of the time. But now I notice I've got a free lease on life at this point. I decide since I see that light screen go away, I can go for a Grass Knot, kind of expecting it to kill. It does not. While they do no longer have that special defensive boost that comes with the Sandstorm as a rock type, I thought maybe I'd grab a kill there. I do not, however. And now they do connect on a Stone Edge, and that takes care of the Thundurus. So here's the best thing, though. We also realize that it's Life Orb. So with that kill, it's going to end up knocking itself out. And now we've got ourselves in a spot where the sun is going to be up for a few turns. And while it's kind of, it's a little bit of an awkward position here. I don't have the Heat Rock on the Thundurus, so it's not going to stick around for as long as I would like. But I figure, you know what? I'm going to go into Arboliva regardless. On the empty switch, I go Arboliva. They turn out to go Mudsdale, which is definitely going to give me the upper hand, because this Arboliva is very interesting. Look, if you haven't seen the Arboliva video, I urge you to go check it out. This is a very interesting set. It's basically Harvest with Custap Berry. So as I substitute, I feel like it's kind of just a free opportunity to sub there. Did not imagine that the Mudsdale stays in. But in comes the Blissey. Now, while the sun is up, I need to take advantage of being able to go for growths. Now, obviously, growth under sun, rather than giving you +1 to special attack, gives you +2. So it turns out they are going to hit a Blizzard. Now, if that's the best way that this Blissey has to touch Arboliva, I'm actually fine with that. If they want to continue to go for Blizzards, I'm fine. It is probably going to end up missing sooner than later, so I'm going to go for another growth while the sun is up. If I want to have a chance at beating a special defensive tank like a freaking Blissey, I'm going to need all of the growths I can possibly get. So here's the thing. Now, as they connected on that next Blizzard, my sun also goes away here. That's going to remove my 100% harvest chance. But I also still am not even in Custap Berry range here. So one way that I realize I can potentially get into Custap range is going for the Terra Fairy. So this time it's Terra Fairy here. I do that because now Blizzard no longer being a super effective hit should, in theory, knock me down into Custap Berry range. I need to be at least a 4th health or below. Now they connect on another Blizzard, so it feels good for him, but I live. I do end up living in Custap range, and as I Hyper Voice, I need one more to kill. And luckily, since I have my Custap Berry, I can outspeed, pop the berry, surprise him, and move first, thanks to the old Custap. So now I can yell at it again, and 2-hit KOing a Blissey with a special attack is honestly pretty damn satisfying. Now here's the kicker though, since the sun is not up, it's a 50% chance for a Harvest to bring back my Custap Berry, and it just doesn't happen. Wildly unfortunately, we do not get our berry back, because now as they go into Goodra, pretty much anything can outspeed this Arboliva. This thing's speed is abysmal. Without my Custap, it's not going to work out for me. So, you know, just knowing that this Goodra is going to be able to just pick me off, I realized that I can still potentially get value out of Arboliva if I get that sun back up and bring it back in. So I figure Ninetales switches into pretty much any attack here. I get that Drought set up once again, and they end up going for the Acid Spray, which doesn't do anything, but it does harshly drop your special defense, which definitely hurts. And now I have a decision to make. I figure I'm going to go for a Weather Ball just for pretty much minimal chip, especially if this thing's Assault Vest, which it does look like it is. I really would like it if it knocks me out here so that I can bring in a free option. Now, they go for the Draco Meteor, and that's actually perfect. It does take care of the Ninetales, and now that opens the door for me to swap into basically whatever I need here. And looking at my options, I figure Jumpluff is in a much better spot to sweep here. I can go into the Arboliva, but it's not going to be able to harvest its berry immediately. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go Jumpluff here. After a Draco Meteor, this thing's special attack is dropped to the point where I should be able to live any attack here, and that gives me a free Swords Dance. So it turns out they're going to click the Acid Spray, which is totally fine by me. Does drop my special defense, but I take it just fine. And honestly, I'm feeling like just with one Swords Dance, I might be able to clean this match up. And honestly, Jumpluff functions really well as a late game sweeper. Now, as I go for the Acrobatics, it does take care of the Goodra in one hit, which is extremely satisfying. Down goes the Goodra. They're going to have 3 Mons left. As I do get hit by the Gooey, the sun is still up, and I do still have my speed doubled. With -1, I should still be able to outspeed me and Xiao here. They do bring in young Floppy Hands. I hit him with the Acrobatics, and that is going to take care of it. And now we've gotten ourselves exactly in the position we needed with the Jumpluff. because nothing wants to deal with acrobatics or a seed bomb, with what they have left. While they do have Mudsdale, this is quite a defensive fella. Now, luckily, the Spikes is doing its thing. It switched into it twice, and that takes a considerable chunk out of its health. I'm still feeling like at +2, a seed bomb should be able to kill here, and check it out, it does. We just bombed the hell out of him with some big old seeds, and that's a dead horsey. So the most clutch Jumpluff ever. Now all we have to do is take care of one last mon. It's going to be the Glamora here. This thing comes in. It is already extremely unhealthy, and the sun is still up, so we're just about fast as hell. One more seed bomb is going to be able to finish it off, and also going to get us the W. So they get some late game toxic debris, but not before we pop his ass like a freaking pinata. And that's going to be the end of the game. So Swords Dance Jumpluff is very fun, and it definitely, it can work pretty well. And it's just a cool guy. So listen, thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate all the support, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace out.